When the temple was destroyed in 70 AD, Jewish people would go up to the rabbis and they'd say to the rabbi, "What do we do now? Before this temple was destroyed, if we wanted to get forgiveness for our sins, we just brought an animal for sacrifice." And there's actually a logic in this. The spilling of the blood of the animal, remember, blood signifies life, was like a transfusion of life to heal the death people had brought into their hearts with their sins. But once the temple was destroyed, there was no place in the world to offer sacrifice. So the rabbi said you can do one of three things: pray, give alms, or fast. Does that sound familiar? You just heard it, didn't you? Pray, give alms, and fast. So let's talk about those three things. First of all, prayer. Lent is a great time to get back on schedule. A lot of us during the winter doldrums let our prayer life go a little bit. And now is a good time to do what we should do, plus a little bit more. But folks, you heard that word little bit, right? Actually, it's two words. Why? Because Catholics overpromise. I'll pray 3 hours in front of the Eucharist every day. That's not going to last. By Sunday, you'll have broken all your promises. Pray an extra 5 or 10 minutes. And if it works, add another 5 halfway through Lent. Be realistic, but be consistent. Fasting. We Catholics, we are wusses. There's only 2 days during Lent that we have to fast, today and on Good Friday. Fasting is for people between 18 and 59. Furthermore, fasting means 1 full meal and 2 partial meals. Come on, the Muslims, they don't eat anything from sunrise to sunset for a month. Jewish people, 24 hours, absolutely nothing, not even water. Our fasting is not that serious, but it still can be good. But besides fasting from food, what about fasting from other things? Your cell phone. Your cell phone has become much too close of a friend. You're spending more time on it than with your family. Or, for gentlemen, we're using the cell phone for the wrong reason. To decide how much time I'm going to spend on the cell phone each day and then keep to that. We could fast from criticizing other people. I love the saying, 10 compliments for every criticism. And when you have to be up till 3 a.m. thinking of compliments, you'll stop criticizing, right? And sometimes the compliments will be half-hearted. You don't look half as bad as you did yesterday. You know? To be pilgrims of hope, fasting from our anger. Awful lot of people are coming to confession, confessing anger because of the situation, politics, the country. How can we be people of hope in this time? Because that's what people need to see. And if we are people of hope and peace, they will know. You won't even have to say a word. They'll sense it. And so that becomes a challenge during Lent. And then giving alms. We can give alms, and especially to groups that feed people. Their funding has dried up in these past weeks. They desperately need funds, such as in Ethiopia. There are literally millions of people who might starve to death in these next few weeks. We have to help out. But sometimes even more precious than money is time. Go to a relative who has dementia and sit down and spend a half hour hearing the same story you've heard 54 times in the past 2 months. Spending time with others is an essential thing. How should we do this? Not to look good in front of others, and not even to look good in front of ourselves. When Easter arrives, we shouldn't say, "Oh, what a good person I was this Lent." Isn't that pride? We should do it for real, sincere conversion. And conversion means that I want this to be an act of love. Now, I'll give you one shortcut that might help out. Some of us have habitual sins. Some of us, God's saying in heaven, will you please do something original? Rob a bank, will you? Because these confessions are getting boring. It's same old thing over and over. How do we break out of that? The easiest way that I found in my life is choose not to do this sin today as an act of love. I will offer up not doing it as a sacrifice for Joe who's dying of cancer. And that way I have a face in front of me. When discipline doesn't work, and I'm terrible with discipline, that face in front of me gives me the incentive to do the right thing. And now it's not simply proving my faith by how strong I am. It's proving my faith by how loving I am. That can be a real gift. And we believe in that. We believe that when I pray for somebody, it helps. We don't know how. We can't measure it. But we know that that love expressed in our prayer helps that person in some way. Likewise, that sacrifice. And the irony, I'm only doing what I should be doing, but yet I'm doing it as an act of love. So this Lent, we have to choose something that would really help us to be a better person. A suggestion I often give, choose one vice you're going to work on or one virtue you're going to work on. And if you can't figure out which vice or virtue you should work on, ask your family. They know. They will be more than willing to offer a suggestion. So that it's not simply a question of doing so many actions this Lent. It's a question of falling in love again. And that's one of the images I love of Lent. In the prophet Hosea, he says that his wife, who has betrayed him 1,000,000 times, he's going to take her out to the desert. And what does that mean? Didn't Israel fall in love with God in the desert? Remember Mount Sinai? He's going to take a second honeymoon with his wife, with Israel. And that's what Lent is supposed to be, a second honeymoon, a time when we simplify things, when we get down to what's really important and say those things that we haven't said for a long time, just because we're creatures of habit. That second honeymoon is another chance to start over again, and this time with a deeper love.